Hare Krishna. Jai. Um, 1 second. I'm sorry, I'm just a few minutes late. That's not like me. Um, I had to do a few things, dealing with some things in India. Uh, and it's kind of an energy when you deal in the morning with kind of business things. There's construction on my house, the ashram, not being done properly. So I'm going to have to shift gears kind of into the mode of goodness. But it's really been amazing. I've been getting these incredible opportunities for teaching, which are expanding. Yesterday at 6 o'clock in the morning, for an hour and a half, I gave a summary of chapters 7 to 12 of the Gita. And I had to prepare for it. I guess I just realized I haven't engaged with the Gita like 30, 40 years when I was really, helping starting the VIHE. And then I'm doing this seminar on Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta. Now it's going to be another part, a 4-part series. But it's really mercy, as Pradyumna Prabhu, my illustrious godbrother, told me, that bhakti means to make yourself available for service. And I'm going to accept it. So, and it's a demand too. That author Pasquale said, I always quote that, I didn't have time to write the letter. I'm sorry it's so long. I didn't have time to write it. So to actually condense like the middle 6 chapters of the Gita to a group who's just finished studying them, and it went quite well, but I really had to think of deeply, and I had to revive all my understanding. Maybe I can just share a little bit of that with you now. What I did is, let me do the verse and I'll share that. And I think it was kind of interesting how I did it. That may be part of the class today, because it's what I've engaged with recently. And I've also learned one thing in public speaking. Sometimes when you feel you don't know what to say, you're not prepared, you go with your strength, even if the realization is that you're not prepared. I am prepared, but let's go and see this. Reading from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, Book 2, Chapter 2, Text 93. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tasya kāruṇya-śaktyā dṛśyo sva-yonau bahir-dṛśoḥ tathāpi darśanānandaḥ sva-yonau jāyate hṛdi. And even if by the power of mercy he becomes visible to external eyes, the bliss that arises from seeing him has its natural source in the heart. Purport, but isn't the Supreme Lord, by his personal energies, free to do anything he wants? Yes, but miracles are for the ultimate benefit of the conscious soul, rather than for the soul's inert senses. The power of the Lord's compassion can indeed make the eyes able to perceive him if he so desires, but the fruit of that perception, the pleasure felt from it, would still come from where the pleasure, pain, and anxiety are born, the mind. Om Jnana-timirandasya gananjana shalakaya Chaksun militam yena tasmai Sri Gurave namaha. Sri Chaitanya manobhishtam stapitam yena bhutale. Sayam rupa kadamayam dadati sapadantikam. vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So a few less people here today. I don't know what the day is, but I'll definitely get into this. I have some insight on today's verse, but it was challenging. It was a Bhagavad Gita class, and they wanted me in 30 minutes to kind of, they said just my association, but really to say something on chapters 7 to 12. So this is how I presented it, I think, to share with you. That first you have to understand Sambandha Gyan. I'm going to put my fist here and a fist here. So imagine this triangle. The relationship, to understand our relationship with Krishna, we have to understand our relationship, the relationship between, this is matter, spirit, and this is the controller of both. So I've said this many times, you have to understand the relationship between spirit and matter. If you think you are matter, or you think you're the body, or you think you're the enjoyer, you're not going to understand that Krishna is. You have to understand the relationship between the spirit, and God. If you think the spirit is God, then what's the question of bhakti? Bhakti is to another. And if you think that God is matter, and you don't understand the relationship between God and matter, but you think that God is matter, then why would you worship God? So I explained, bhakti is definitely presented in the first 6 chapters, but it has to establish some Sambandha Gyan. So it has to establish you're not the body. 2 things. It has to establish you're not the body. After it establishes you're not the body, it has to say what your body is, that it's karma. Your body is karma. It's moving in a particular way. So you have to deal with that. You have to deal that you're not the body. You have to deal that you identify with the body. And the solution is karma yoga. In other words, dealing that you're not the body is jnana. It's knowledge. Dealing that you're with the body is karma. And working properly is a form of karma yoga. How to work with identifying with the body is karma. So you have to put the gyan with the karma. That's karma yoga. You have to work with knowledge. And I explained also in that chapter is transcendental knowledge, Krishna's position, ultimately to work. But in that chapter, what it's kind of emphasizing is the knowledge and the work, then the devotion. That's yat karoshi and asnasi. Whatever you do, whatever you work, do it as an offering to me. The work comes first, and then the devotion. Whereas the 7 to 12 is more patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhakta priyachati. If you do things with devotion, a leaf, a flower, offer me in devotion, the devotion comes first. So then I went through the chapters 7 to 12, showing how it's presenting direct devotion and the reason why there should be direct devotion. And that's exemplified in the verses in the 10th chapter. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matas sarvam pavartate iti bhutva bhajanti ma. I am the source of the material and spiritual worlds. the wise who know this should engage in my devotional service. So the wise who know what? And therefore in those middle 7 chapters, the knowledge of the absolute truth, the opulences of the absolute truth, the universal form, presenting why we should worship Krishna. It's the goal. I explained from the Bhakti Sandarbha this concept called Siddha Pradesh. It means, Siddha means perfection, instructions that give us perfection. And the analogy is given, I think Sarvagya, the astrologer or something, I forgot what it is he wants a treasure. First you have to know where the treasure is. Then, of course, you'll dig for it, and of course you'll get the result. So Sambandha Gyan, the absolute position of Swayam Bhagavan, Krishna, as the goal, as the objective, our conception of reality, Krishna and Krishna's energies, understand that. That automatically applies Abhideya. Once you know the most important thing is not the method to extract it, but where it is. So I was also explaining that. So these middle chapters, they explain both really clearly, Sambandha Gyan, in a more deep way, in a more direct way than is presented in first to 6 chapters, which present karma yoga and different yogas and summary of the Gita and so many things. But this is the essence of the Gitas, directly fixing your mind on Krishna as bhakti yoga. And then I quoted a verse from the Bhakti Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami's verse, which exemplifies what bhakti is. And the way he explains that is very brilliant. The way he explains it is, he explains, there's the Sandarbha, the Paramatma Sandarbha comes before the Bhakti Sandarbha. The Paramatma Sandarbha explains how the soul is enmeshed in matter. And therefore he says, what bhakti is reversing the cause of you being immersed in matter. And what's the cause of you being immersed in matter? Turning away from God. And therefore, what is bhakti? Turning towards God with pure devotion and worshiping God and accepting the spiritual master as the representative of God. But that's bhakti. We turned away from God, we turned towards God directly. Then I went through chapters 7 to 12, and I said, you can pick out any verses, but I showed how all the verses, I picked out 1 or 2 verses for each chapter, but I showed how, and actually to give this class, I woke up at midnight, because I'm sorry, the letter was so long, but I didn't have time to prepare it, so I prepared it. I prepared it so I can put it in 30 minutes. Now I'm more prepared. I'll put it with you within 10 minutes. But I explained how the first verse summarized the same concept in the Bhakti Sandarbha. Maya sakta manoparta yogam yunjan marasraya asamsayam samagramam yatagyas. Just hear from me. What? About Krishna, about his opulences and his knowledge of Krishna and his supreme position. Just hear from me, then mind attached to me. No, then in full consciousness of me, that's bhakti. Sambandha Gyan, you know God, then you put your consciousness to God. Mind attached to me, then you become attached to God. Then you know him fully without doubt. So I explained how that first verse summarizes what bhakti yoga is. And then I put 2 verses from that 7th chapter. The ones I chose was Bahunam Janmanamante, Gyanavam Mam Papadyate, Vasudeva Savamiti, Samahatma Sadulava. Bahunam janmanam ante, gyanavam mam prapadyate. After many, many births, the wise, Bahunam janmanam ante, the Gyani, after many, many births, he comes to Krishna. So I showed that Jnana presented in the first chapter, the real thing is understand that so you put your consciousness to God. Then I quoted another verse, Yesham twantakatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajanti bam. That pious activities, you purify yourself. And I explained how that works. And then bhajanti mam judhabrata, you do bhajan, you focus on Krishna. So I showed the relationship between karma and gyan, but to focus the mind on Krishna. And then I went through attaining the supreme and the different chapters, 1 or 2 verses, showing how this is bhakti. Turn your consciousness to Krishna, as opposed to karma yoga. Whatever you're doing according to your nature, that comes first, and then offer the results to Krishna. But what the Bhagavad Gita recommends is always thinking of Krishna. And in one class where I'm on fire because I'm teaching so many classes, and this is my nature. Now I have a frame of reference. And then I'm doing the story of Kala Krishnadas, who is always thinking of Krishna, and that's another story. But anyway, it was really fun to do that. And it's something that, and then other realizations I had, it was a challenge because I had to really get the essence of this down and prepare it. I didn't have much time. I actually had one other idea, but it was the wrong idea. So I started over again. And I realized that my Kshatriya bhav, taking the challenge, I enjoyed the challenge. And then I was recalling to the students also at the beginning my engagement with the Bhagavad Gita, beginning when Prabhupada came to Dallas and told everyone they should learn a verse of Gita a day, and the temple president, to inspire people, said, whoever learns a chapter, I'll give a maha plate. And it was so austere when I came. It's not like today where I know people had money, you eat what's there. And it was like very simple, and sometimes you'd have a good cook. So, I mean, Sanskrit and the Maha Prasad and the way they would cook. So I had that impetus, and I learned 10 chapters by heart. And then we started the VIHE. I told the students, people speak about the good old days, but they didn't have the opportunity for systematic training that you have now. So sometimes there's an advantage in time. Of course, Prabhupada's direct association, he put people up to this platform of renunciation that was beyond their capacity. And then when he left, so many of them just fell down. That's just a fact. He was so powerful, but they weren't at that level, of like the revolution, Cuba, going to the hills, Che Guevara, the revolutionary mood, devotees, they got something, but what a risk. But I told them, because I saw that. I think these are mostly Bhakti-Vigyan Goswami's disciples, and Champak's mother is the organizer, so that's how I got asked to do it. But I saw how much the students know, how well they're being trained. And I described when we started, there was no systematic study in ISKCON. And I see you have sage groups and you have this study and you're this. It's actually easier now. Of course, different things have different times have different advantages, that, going out 8 hours, 10 hours a day, the Sankirtan movement of course. But the systematic study has so evolved. So I actually, because when I spoke to one of the students about the classes and saying what I was going to do, I saw how much they understood. And I said, oh my God. And I remember when I had the class and I started the first systematic study of education outside of India, the VIHE. And I remember after 1 year, I taught this, and I had Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta teach it. And I thought, wow, this guy is better than me now. And then after that, the next year, Mahamuni taught it. He's a professor of philosophy. And then it's just increasing. And then I told this interesting story. 30 years ago, I took a bunch of straight edge people, young people. I can't even remember all the people that were there, but they were real young people to India. It was like the first tour. I was the first one that took tours to India. I remember Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta Swami, when I meet him, he was so appreciative. He said, everybody's preaching to Indians and you're preaching to Westerners and you're bringing Westerners. So we went into the Jaipur. And Jaipur is surrounded by a wall. And when you get into the first gate, the wall is just these kind of attached houses. And we're coming in, and this older Indian man, I don't know, older then, must have been in his 40s, I don't know, but he was a disciple of Prabhupada. And I remember him as the most fanatic disciple of Prabhupada. And he came in, he said, oh, come to my house, come to my house. And he started preaching to us. I think I told this that Prabhupada's greater than Lord Chaitanya. And he used this, what I call kind of Indian logic or something. It's good logic. He said, he said, Lord Chaitanya was, I remember him standing on the table, actually. Lord Chaitanya was worshiping Krishna, but that's one. Prabhupada was worshiping Krishna, Lord Chaitanya and Krishna. That's two. Two is better than one. And then recently it was Bhaktivinoda Thakur's appearance day. It was Bhaktivinoda Thakur's or disappearance day. And I got a message from Vaisheshika Prabhu. And he said, I'm giving class to the North American GBC. Do you have any suggestions? I like this challenge too. And often, once every 2 months, he calls me up like that. And I love the challenge. I said, yes, this is what you should do. First, the contribution, and then his missionary contribution and his literary contribution. And first, you should start with his missionary contribution. How he established the mission, how he spread the holy name. I gave him 3 things. I forgot what they are right now. And then his literary contribution, I said, one thing you can do is just call on the audience and ask him to volunteer a song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Vibhava Risesha Aloka Provesha Chidra Nita Jiva Bolo Hari Hari Mukunda Morari, or something like that, or Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Koro Yasomati Nandana Brajabara Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Borasuke Kabe Gai Borasuke Kabe Bai Nadia Gojume Nitya. And I said, if you can think about this, at the time of Lord Chaitanya, they didn't have the songs of Narottam Das Thakur. Si Rupa Manjari Pada, Se Mora Sampada. They didn't have the songs of Narottam Das Thakur. And at Narottam Das Thakur, they didn't have the songs of Bhakti Vinod. So I was explaining to those students, after I gave my presentation, I had a very good response. How fortunate you are that you're getting such systematic studies. How fortunate you are now that you have sage groups, community groups, so many things. And then I said, thinking of fortune, I was studying with Niranjan Swami every day. After this class, we'll have my hour with him. And we'll have my hour, and it's great. We may sometimes get just a verse or two and go back and forth. He has so many frames of reference, so many verses. I have my own unique analysis of things. But we are reading, it's later in the chapter we're ahead of you. And the Bhakti Shastras are speaking to Gop Kumar on Satyaloka. And there was something about countless jivas, and how many. We're better than winning the lottery. Sometimes they have these lotteries, you can win billions of dollars, and it's 1 in 300 million chance you'll win. Our odds of winning the spiritual lottery are higher. It's a lower probability of us winning the spiritual lottery than having systematic study of Shastra in this universe. So what is their fortune? So as you can see, I was really on fire. And I had to do this today because the morning was just passion. Just passion. You know, I'm trying to make my ashram very nice, and we're fixing it up. And I'm getting videos from Sabyasachi, who's staying there. He's not involved in the construction. And I had to get it all sorted out with the people who are doing it. And it put me in another mood. Because we have different moods. I haven't taken this mood in a long while. I was really in my Kshatriya bhav. I really increased the mode of passion. I said, how am I going to give the class? So I kind of went with, now I'll just give you a little summary of where we are now. And this is Pipalayana Rishi. And how did we get to Pipalayana Rishi? Now you remember Gopakumar's journey, and it's such a beautiful journey. Because it shows that the most important part in spiritual life, bhakti, is the heart. Is the heart. He has the right sentiment, the right intelligence, the right intention, the right behavior. Vaishnava, not scholar, Vaishnava. He's a Vaishnava. He has that Braj mood. And it's not going to be satisfied. You know, his guru gave him that mantra and said, you know, this mantra will lead you to the supreme God. So he's kind of trying to searching. He's a simple guy. He hasn't been educated. So he keeps on meeting forms of God, but not in his relationship with God. and therefore he's satisfied but not satisfied. We've gone over this many times. And he begins to move. He begins to move to different places, and he's really simple. As you remember, he became the king of Puri. He became the king of heaven. Somehow, he was always disturbed. He was never into power. He was into love. So power never attracted him. Power cannot attract someone with Braja Bhakti in their hearts. They want love. It's much more important than power. And I see that when I come to Colombia, and you see these very, very, very simple people, who have family, have God. And then you see very rich people. And of course, unless it's abject poverty and that, but I'm talking about simple people, the gardener, the cook, they seem much more satisfied than people who have opulence and power, etc., who are also very nice. But Gopakumar, this simple Vaishnav, and then he's in Mahaloka, and it's impressive, and there's yajna going on, so Yageshwara comes, and they all have a relationship, because I think it's mentioned at the beginning, to that Mathura Brahmin. This is Gopakumar telling the story to the Mathura Brahmin. And if you remember, Gopakumar is not where he is now. He's telling his journey. But at the beginning, he's already achieved his cowherd boy status. And he was sent by Radha to help this Mathura Brahmin. When you least expected, you're elected, you're the lucky guy. We can't discount Krishna's mercy. We can't discount Krishna's mercy. Anyway, Gopakumar went to Mahaloka, and briefly during devastation, he went to Janaloka, but anyway, now he's, wait. Yes, now, so what happens is, at every place, there's people that visit from higher planetary systems, and the other people from a lower planetary system worship them. He figures out if they worship them, then their object of devotion must be higher. Let me go there. And I'm not ultimately satisfied here in heart. I am satisfied, but I'm not satisfied because I have that Braja Bhakti, the simplicity of it, the attachment for it, even though I could not. And for the other. So it was the Kumaras, and he's singing that it's Brihaspati, or is it Bhrigupati? I think Brihaspati in the Mahaloka. They're worshiping the Kumaras. And of course, one reason there's a respect for celibacy. Of course, we're a movement of dedication, but culturally, those who are truly renounced have to be respected to take that order. I remember when Pradyumna, we used to bring him to the Bhakti Center, and he's such a, not the Bhakti Center, the ashram, Yogya's ashram. And, and, you know, and Ekachakra and others would serve him, and then they would, at the end, he would be chanting verses about brahmachari, brahmachari, he would say, brahmachari. So Sanat Kumar is for tapaloka. Tapaloka is only for celibates. But also they're respected, and he said, oh, let me go there. And he goes to Tapaloka, and he sees, you know, they're just studying Shastra. That's one of the anubhavs, actually, of even Shantaras. In his study about Brahman and God and his eminence, and they're studying this. So it's and it's so peaceful there. There's another level of joy. Somehow each level is another level of joy, but they're meditators. So they so they're having their assemblies, and then they go to meditate. And when they go to meditate, then he's going, what's going on now? And where is God? I had Jagannath. He was always there for me. I was even thinking of leaving Mahaloka, because Yogeshwar is not always manifest, and Jagannath is always manifest, and so then he becomes influenced by the peacefulness, just like Narada Muni. What was his material taint? Why he couldn't see God after the first Sakshat Darshan? What was his material taint? His material taint was that he was attached to peacefulness. We're attached to Krishna, and that's Anand. That's blissful. That's what we're attached to. And the ultimate peace is there also. But we're not attached to our peace. Narayana parasarve nakutas janya bibhyati swaga pavaga narakeshu apitul yata darshana. Excuse me. I got my big cup here. I gotta. Every morning, this is my system of health. It may look bigger, that's how big it is. It's filled with hot tea at night before I go to bed, and I drink that before breakfast. Then another one is filled up with lemon juice, and I make sure, so I have at least 2 liters every day. That's a liter of water. One of my secrets. So So on Tapaloka, they're meditating, and he has this peacefulness. So he's kind of forgetting my mantra. I think I have something here. But he won't give up his mantra, but because of the peacefulness, he can focus on his mantra more, and he becomes more attached to Madan Gopal. He becomes even more attached to Madan Gopal. And then he says, I want to leave. I don't see God here. I want to leave. And then Pipalayana Rishi, one of the Novi Yogendras, now he comes, and now there's this whole discussion of where God actually appears. Can he appear in the inert sense? I don't really understand the discussion. I'm still trying to figure it out. But the emphasis here is in the mind. And what's going to be discussed even here, he's telling him that when God appears in the mind, that's where the bliss is. It's in the mind. It's not in the senses. You may take some object in through the senses, but it's in the mind. We'll read one more verse today. Anantaram chatatraiva vilasan paryavasyati mana eva mahapatram tatsuka grahanochitam. That bliss later continues in the heart even after the Lord is no longer visible to the eyes. Thus, the worthy receiver of the bliss is the mind alone. Yes, you leave the object. So let's say it was even in the object. You leave the object, then it's gone. But if it's in the mind, it stays with you. Purport: after an audience with the Lord, when he is no longer visible to the eyes, the pleasure of having seen here lingers in the heart. Quote, "Oh, with my own eyes, I see the personality of Godhead. I saw him right before me." That the ecstasy of seeing the Lord continues in the heart after the eyes can no longer perceive him indicates that the ecstasy resided only in the heart all along. Why then presume the eyes to be the seer? On the other hand, sight is one of the knowledge-acquiring senses, so why should it be unable to generate and sustain pleasure? The answer, according to self-realized authorities, is that the most suitable agent to receive the pleasure of seeing the Supreme Lord is the mind. The mind is analogous to the most reliable minister of a king, a minister who alone in the king's entourage can be entrusted with the care of the most precious object. So what an important lesson. This is really technical stuff that's debated. Where is agency? Mahamuni and Edward Bryant, Professor Advaita, they have a whole anthology of this, selfhood, agency, and free will in Indian thought. And there's so many different views, even within Vaishnavism sometimes. Where does agency? But it just shows the importance of the mental culture of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada talked about the mental culture of Krishna consciousness. The mental culture of Krishna consciousness. That's the 7th chapter. Fix the mind. Not just your actions, fix the mind. And we should develop the mental culture of Krishna consciousness. Okay, Jamunajaya, what struck you today? I know.
Oops. Hare Krishna Raj, thank you so much for class. There were quite a few things that really struck me. One of them, the way you said that bhakti is turning away from what is enmeshing us in, wait, let me get it, is meshing us in matter. I love that because like with the word mesh, I could feel it
Because
a
we're
net.
in matter. In other words, you
Yes.
have a disease, reverse the cause. The cause of the disease is turning away from God. So the cure for the disease is turning towards God, and that's bhakti.
So beautiful. And then another thing that really just like the fact you said it, but it really hit me today that Radha sent Gaurakumar to this Brahmin. That
Go.
was like,
Yeah, because already he was a cowherd boy.
yeah. It's so I like, do we know who this Brahmin was? That I mean, he has this simple faith and we're following his journey, but this just
We'll
seems like
find out who he'll
extraordinary mystery.
become maybe at the end. But you see, we never had Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta when we grew up, you know? So there's a lot of opulence as Prabhupada's mission expands. Okay,
Amazing. Thank you,
you're
Raj.
off to the Bhakti Center today?
Yes, Raj, I have a chance to. Right now, I'm not teaching my usual schedule, so I can get to go to Bhagavad Shravanam. And I'd actually be happy to hear last night for the first time in a very long time, there was a kirtan at Yoga Maya. There
By,
hasn't
by,
been one
by who?
by Jayutal.
Okay.
Yeah, so Bryn, I was very happy. Bryn was in the front row, hands raised,
You.
chanting holy names. Yeah, well, Bryn, I was, but Bryn was there, so it was
Well,
nice
what
to
was he
see how
chanting?
he did all sorts, but at the end, he did the Maha Mantra. He he did a couple Ram
How many
Ram.
people were there?
Oh, it was packed. It was a lot of people because he has his own following,
Yeah.
so a lot of people knew. And I was happy to see that some of the Yoga Maya staff was there, about six of the teachers and some students and
Okay.
stuff. But it was first time we've had one in a long time, so that felt really,
Okay.
really good.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
I will. Gail.
Hey, Krishna Maharaj.
Hi, Bob.
Yeah, just a couple things. One is
Wait.
oh,
I, oh, because I can't see you, I have to get my hearing aids. Wait 1 second. I forgot to put them on. Okay, Gail, what's up?
okay. One thing I didn't follow. When you
Wait
were
1 second. 1 second.
oh,
Stop. 1 second. 1 second. I, it's wild. This lecture is playing in my ears. 1 second. I don't know why it won't shut off. 1 second. Okay, Gail, I can't use my hearing aids because they're linked to this lecture. Good, I'll try to listen carefully.
wait. Hold on. Let me see. Okay, here I
Okay.
go. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. So one thing I didn't follow was when you were talking about the lottery.
Talking about the what?
The lottery, how we're in a better position, something like
Okay,
that.
can I explain it again?
Please.
Okay. What is the chance of a soul coming to the point of the pinnacle of of yoga and the yoga lada, innumerable souls in the universe, and then coming to the point of being a Vaishnava and getting to hear Bhagavad Gita? It's what, 1 in 1 billion.
Oh,
The lottery, if you win the lottery, it may be 1 in 1 million. So we're even more fortunate. We get a greater gift that's even rarer and more
oh.
difficult to attain. Okay?
Yeah, and also, Maharaj, if you can again define agency. I think last class you defined it as the ability to institute change
Action.
on something.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So, so it's the ability to just take action, no?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
Who initiates the action is the agent.
who initiates the action?
Who has
And
the ability to and initiates the action.
and so, therefore, the controversy among Vaishnavas about souls being able
No,
to.
they say where is agency. The yoga philosophy. I don't feel it's the Vaishnava philosophy, but sometimes I see there. You read my articles. There's some discussion. Where does thoughts and will happen? And I'm not going to discuss this here now, Gail, but we can discuss it
Okay.
privately. But where does it happen? And they say it's in the mind. I don't understand that, but we could discuss this privately.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you, Maharaj.
okay. Anybody else like to say hello or share a reflection of something you appreciated in the class? Okay, I'm looking at the list of the people who have come today.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for class.
Thank you for class.
Okay, Haribo.
Haribo.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes.
This must be a real ecstasy for you.
Yes.
Yeah, they all know that you're Vaishnav shaving. Yeah, I can't wait. The eyebrows, I like that with the comb. Whew. Now, I realize now when I used to watch things in the old days, people would like to go to the barber. Yeah, people like to be served.
Well, thank you.
For him, they go to the hairdresser, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Krishna-katha, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for the class. It's each time nice and very valuable for me to hear you. Thank you greatly.
It's so nice to see you. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? Otherwise, I'm gonna head
Hare
out.
Krishna Maharaj, thanks for the class. Surya Radhika here.
What happened to your mother? Is she okay? I don't see she's on the.
Oh, she's not here.
She's
Maybe
not on
she's
the
abroad.
list. Oh my God.
She should be okay, but
Surya, what's Ishwari Sundari saw you.
yes,
She said, "Oh my
yeah,
God, she's so happy and blissful at all the." You ever expect to go to like a Prabhupada appearance day with so many Prabhupada disciples, or a
This was amazing.
Janmashtami, right, with so many people, right?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. Yeah, I
Wow.
invited her for our wedding, and I would like to invite other God sisters and God families also.
Okay, when is that?
16th of November,
And where will it be held? In the temple?
Alacha Temple, yeah.
In the temple, okay.
Yes.
And his parents are coming?
Yeah, his parents and sister.
Will it be live streamed?
Yes, for my mom, yeah.
Well, send it for me too, okay?
Sure, Marge.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
thank you, Marge.
Yvette, Hare Krishna, I see you there.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for class, Maharaj. Thank you.
Okay.
Very good.
I was on fire. I used my fire for preaching because I was fried.
Now you're in the mode of goodness now after class, right?
Well, I'm pretty good now because I don't eat after lunch, and I'm up early and chanting and things. So it's not like before. Before I would have had my hands like strangling people.
No.
Okay, I'm gonna head out now. Okay, Haribo.
All right, Hare Krishna. Bye.